responsibility to look out for our best interest.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with you. Yes,
yeah, because we have the right to not be defiled or to be the victim of criminal offense, but don't we have the responsibility to make, you know, rational decisions or mindful decisions? Once drugs and alcohol and late night and alone, I mean, aren't we entering into murky territory?
We're entering into this misandrist society where men are demons, men are potential rapists, and men should be demonized and feared. Women want traditional respect from men, but they want to be modern. So a lot of the times now, men are expected to still pay for meals, still expected to see women as the prize. And if you ask any majority of most women, you ask them nowadays, and this is without fail, and Kevin Samuels proved this on the show many, many times, so you can go and get the metadata, you can see the evidence for yourself. And I've done the studies, I've done the research, right? You can clearly see here that they will give you a shopping list of what they want in a man, understanding 50-50 equality. If they get married to the man,
not financial. No, when you say 50-50, not in the financial department, though, clearly.
Not in the financial department. No, that means that when it comes to the housework, they want you to clean, wash, cook equally with them, but then you still must be on a six figure. So most of the time, when they say, I want a man at 6'6", this, and you say, okay, what do you offer? What you bring to the table? There's error. Like, the brain just breaks down and functions.
Or like a glitch, like you say, there's a glitch.
Yeah, because they've never been asked what do they bring to the table, what do they offer, because men are just expected. So again, like
I've seen a lot. Can I just say, brother, I've seen a lot of conversations online where that question has come up in recent years, because it's only recent. Because let me just make this quick caveat, so please remember your point. But there's been 40 years in the public domain of nothing going on but the rent, don't want no scrubs, right? The color purplification, right? The waiting to excel. Not to say those films are 40 years old or those records are 40 years old, but the bell hooks and the think tanks and the academies and institutions where those fourth wave feminist ideas picked up pace and went into popular culture, right? That's been for 40 years. But now, since the the last maybe 3 years, men have started to, Generation Z, they're built different and they've started to ask certain questions. They've had the audaciousness to ask that question. Well, what is it that I see your shopping list, no problem. But what is it that you bring to the table? And now, and only now, it's now framed as a gender war. And now, and only now, have men been, there's a lot of conversation where men are shamed, young men are shamed for asking that question. There's kind of like, it's framed with a kind of NLP. For any man to ask that, it would tell you he's not wise, because what a wise man would do, and it's all ever talking around, as opposed to saying, well, we're all equal. You got a shopping list. I see what's on yours. Can I now complete mine? But no. It's not really about equality. It's about an imbalance. It's equality when it suits me and I can dip out and be traditional when it doesn't.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, and I think I forgot my point. Sorry. I did. What did they say again? I didn't mean to digress, but I guess it was in line with what you were saying. All right, let me put it this way. Maybe you could have just said to me, finish your point, and then I could jump in on it. But I forgot when you cut in. I can't remember because I was
let me put it this way. Let me put it this way.
The plane just stopped. Yeah, the plane. I can't
let me unglitch the glitch. Yeah, we have 3 branches of government: the judiciary, the executive, and the legislator. Right? We believe in the presumption of innocence. Right? And even when I said the 3 institutions, we've got a 4th institution, which is called a press. They used to call that in politics, the 4th estate, right? And that means that the 3 institutions don't congeal. They don't retain all the power. It's split up so they can regulate each other, those 3 branches of government. And then what they call the 4th estate was supposed to be the press that keeps an eye on everybody else and will expose. So my question to you is, we know from the research, right? The CPS, the police, whether it's the Metropolitan Police, the West Midlands Police, whichever police force in the UK, right? Between them and the CPS, Crown Prosecution Service, right? There is a failure to bring about what would be seen as more satisfactory conviction rates for people who have been accused of that offense, right? And there's it's impacted women coming forward. Is the answer cancel culture, or and having a 4-year investigation into one particular individual and a trial by media, or do we need to look at those institutions, and in particular the police and the CPS, to maintain a democratic principle or a democratic respect for the rule of law? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that obviously it's important that law is upheld, because we are a nation of laws. Laws maintain a civilization. Laws are important, and I think that the fact that if you look at any society that's falls into moral decadence and immorality and disrespect for law, disrespect for structures and hierarchies, then we can see what happens when this is pure anarchy. That's what made most empires fall at this point. Whether it's the Roman Empire, whether it's the British Empire, all these empires all fall. American Empire is falling now. So law is absolutely
Why is it
important.
so much related to sex as well? Why does sexual decadence like bring about the actual implosion of a society, or it's part of that implosion?
Because I think sex is something that is it can either be something that is enhanced in a marriage and it has a purpose, because the difference between love and marriage and love and relationships is different. It's not the same thing. Someone loving you and being in a marriage is not the same thing. So I think sex is such a powerful sort of desire within society. It can be destructive and it can be positive.
Okay, constructive or destructive. I hear you.
Yeah. So once I think these walls and these boundaries are blurred and they're not healthy, and people begin to be all self, it's all about me, me, me. If you look at a lot of these so-called not marriage, but like these life coaches, you look at the woman ones, they always say things like, you go girl, it's all about you girl. If you're not happy in the marriage, girl, then the marriage isn't happy. So there's never a sense of duty. Women are not encouraged like a soldier in the army. You know, it's a duty to run over that hill. And it's obviously the first law of nature is self-preservation. But when you're in the army, you don't go by that. You can't say it's all about me, 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 me. You couldn't use, if you're in the army, you couldn't take that self-help guru, it's all about you, and put it. You wouldn't have an army.
You couldn't be like that as a parent.
No, you couldn't, because the whole point about parent is duty to someone else.
Duty and sacrifice, right? It's duty and sacrifice for a higher goal.
But once you remove that sense of that, then everything starts to break down. And that's why you see the police force now, they'll walk around with rainbow flags and they'll arrest you if you say a so-called hate crime against someone who's gender fluid or gender.
Oh, if you misgender somebody, you're in default.
Sorry, they can't arrest. The statistics for crime in London is exponentially increasing. Like knife crime now, 16 people have died this year. That is unacceptable. That's disgusting. But we're worried about ULEZ and pollution, right? We're worried about cars driving at certain speeds. That's our focus, right? Not on passing laws to save human lives and getting young people to respect the law and see the police officers as respectful. So once the law falls apart and people go to their most basic needs, sex seems to come out more, seems to be the thing, and then it becomes corrosive. And when sex becomes this transactional, meaningless act for purely, like you're having just to get your oxytocin going and your endorphins going, purely to please yourself in some type of self-masturbatory way, it leads to destruction in society. And we've seen this happen in the Roman Empire. We see this happen in many, many empires. When the moral groundings are loosened and they fall, the society completely implodes.
That's an interesting point, because you when you say that, it makes me think of the point that as a society, in a society, sex becomes transactional. That is the beginning of decadence. That's a starting road of decadence. So, the idea that, as you said, the me, me, me culture, two individuals in a heterosexual context, they'll meet, man and woman will meet, young man and young woman will meet, but they're only interested in what they can get out of the situation, and they're not really interested in the person. When you have that type of situation, don't we create almost like a proliferation of the criminal aspects, the gray area, the issues around consent, the complexities of it all, because we're one, there's a question about how young men are socialized and the type of messages they're given and the type of principles they're given. So things about honor and chivalry, right, will disappear if you have messaging for young women that it's all about you and what you want, and that you know, you can do just like what a man does. And so that men are starting, young men, Generation Z, are reacting. So I don't really want to throw them under the bus. They're more of a symptom of this fourth wave of feminism, because they will react, because nobody wants to be thought of as thought of with a level of low-level contempt just because of their demographic. Nobody. So whether it's based on their religion, their color, their language group, or their sex. I don't want to use that word gender, because I don't really think that really exists, or it's a bit of a it's a bit of a complex and a kind of philosophical area that really should really stay in the university and the academy. I don't think it should really come into society as much as it has. But yeah, the Generation Z young men are reacting to feminism.
Yeah, I think they're reacting. I don't think they're politically aware that it's feminism. I believe that I think what they're reacting to is the attitude of women, which represents feminism. So
Absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
I don't think women themselves know what the hell feminism. They don't know who Jermaine Greer is. They don't know about third or fourth wave feminism. They don't know anybody. They don't know the Marxist philosophy behind feminism. They don't know feminism is actually a satanic, evil cult going back to the 17th and 18th century. It's been doggedly being pushed and pushed by philanthropists and men of certain ilk and certain power who control the part of that 10% control that is 80%. They haven't got a clue about all of that. This was never about helping a woman. It was about to break society and destroy society. And I know point is once you, and in the communist system, when you men didn't know they were men, women didn't know they were women. It's the breaking you down. Like if you join the army, you're just a cog. You don't have a personality in the army. You're just part of a massive machine, and you're expendable. And that's what they want to turn human beings into, expendable cogs, like in the Matrix, brought you down to a battery. So this is what they're doing with these people. So I think men now, because of the great late Kevin Samuels and other men in the manosphere and the Red Pill movement, they've helped men and Andrew Tate to an extent. And again, I'm not saying I endorse this man because he's accused of grape and the rest of it, like Russell. But that's interesting that those people are being accused, whatever. We're trying to enlighten people, but let's put that aside for now.
Why don't we just forget their character assassination? They like, regardless of what he says, why don't we challenge him on what his issues are? No, we'll challenge him with the offense. But go on, my bro. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. So the way it's
a pattern though. There does seem to be a pattern.
There's a pattern. You know? So I think young men now, thankfully, are responding to toxic femininity, to misandrist values, and now we're realizing that men have to look at their own mental health, look at their place in society, and they realize that they've been sold a lie. That the idea is that as a man, you have to you have to see the woman as the prize, which she's not. That as a man, that if women want equality, you have to, that equality doesn't mean that if you go on a date, you're paying for the date or you're paying for their transport. Or if she has her friends with her, you have to pay for the meal of all the friends that are sitting there, right? Or if you marry her and you decide you don't want to be with her anymore, she can't say to you, well, I gave up my job and I became a housewife and you owe me now for the rest of my life to pay me out of your money and I don't have to work. No, if you want
us free.
Give us free, yeah. So men are realizing now that we as men gave them this false sense of security. We as men gave them these benefits that they don't deserve or worthy of. And they use those against us, but they're insatiable. So I think young men now, opposed to the men in the 40 years ago, or now walking up, smell the coffee, right? And now they're realizing the game, and the game is up.
The gig is up, because Generation Z, right? They're built different. They are built different. You know what I'm trying to say to you? They're not coming with chivalry and nobility and honor. They're coming with, you said equal. You know what I mean? But let's just say equality is a fallacy anyway, because we know when we look at the research and the metadata around, for example, the biggest one is outside of criminal offenses committed against women, violence against women, right? Outside of those disproportionate numbers, the big
claim, the woman though?
Women, is it wages that women are paid less than men for doing the same?
What is a woman? What is a woman?
No, I don't
So
want
just
to even go there. I don't even want to go there because that's another
no,
another podcast, and we got to finish in a few minutes. But I just want to say that we do know that there has been a push for equality in things like the NBA, the Premiership League, and pay and equal pay in tennis, and places like this, or in the director's room, and places like that, right? On the board of directors, there's a push for that equality. I get it, and quotas. But I noticed the other day there was a burst water main not so far from my house, and day and night there were men digging that drain, digging that ditch, going into the manhole and things of that nature. And I saw black men. I saw mostly white guys. I saw an Asian guy. I think I saw one with instead of wearing a workman's helmet, he had a turban on. I think he was a brown man, a man of color, BAME community. So they were men of all kinds, but they were all men. And I don't hear anybody calling for quotas. I hear quotas to work in the boardroom, but I never hear anybody that wants to build. I never hear quotas of the people that build the skyscrapers. And you know how men die at disproportionate rates in terms of dangerous jobs. There's no request for quotas with that. So we know, if we be honest, we don't really want equality, but we would probably like to live in a world where there is choice. And if somebody has the acumen, their sex shouldn't preclude them from getting a job. But let's not say we want quotas and we want equality, because you see no girl out there digging a ditch.
I totally agree. I think that the sad reality is that the jobs that these women want, men have created. The world that we live in is a man's world. Let's be straight about it. I'm not being sexist or misogynistic. It's a reality. So even the idea of having a job, even the idea of independence, language has been formed majority by men. Concepts of language have been formed majority by men. All these ideas of rap music or therapy, whatever, all these things come from men. So women, they benefit from men's technology to go to Mars, whatever we need to do, to their bras down to their panty pads. Men make all these things, right?
Even the sanitary towel was invented by a man.
People have known for thousands of years. So it's appalling to tell young women that the relationship between men and women for thousands of years has been patriarchal, misandrous, being oppressed, and they're always continually being victims. And only now in the last 40 years now it's a difference. Women have got more power than they've ever had. Men have been more defeatist and broken than they've ever been. But these women want more and more and more. So this is an appalling lie. Men and women have always struggled in harsh, terrible conditions. You can't tell the Eskimo man and the Eskimo woman about patriarchy. They both need to survive in the coldest, harshest environment, or else they're both going to die. They don't know this nonsense about patriarchy.
Yeah, brother, you said something that I'm going to have to finish on. I think it's at that point. If men and women don't cooperate and find a way to negotiate and accommodate each other's needs and desires, they are going to die. And with that, we shall say good afternoon. Till next time. High Caliber Man podcast with myself, Hugh Mayers, and my colleague, Solomon Matthews.